Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to Behind the Grind. So, in today's video, we're going to be talking about stratagems and overall some issues that I've been seeing that have been occurring across multiple players in the community and just some feedback overall for the developers as well into the way that stratagems has been implemented. Now, as you guys already know, I keep it real 100% all of the time, right? So, Stratagems is one of those game modes for Space Marine 2 that I personally believe has been a big positive for the game. Not only does it incentivize replayability, it also switches up the gameplay from time to time, and it also has its own progression system, being the heroic armor pieces and weapons. So, with that, what is the issue that players seem to be having when playing through Stratagems? There's something in this game mode that is making it really unfun, and I think I've been able to piece together what the issues are. So let's go ahead and talk about why players aren't playing Stratagems in Space Marine 2. Before we get into that though, if you could please drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. And a big shout out to all the channel members for the Behind the Grind YouTube channel membership. If you are interested, go ahead and click the link in the pinned comment down below. And without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about my issues with stratagems. So, as I've mentioned in a few videos before, I've brought up the fact that a lot of these stratagem modifiers are actually pretty interesting. I personally like them. However, it's the way that they're implemented is where I have a problem. So, if you guys didn't already know, it's totally obvious by now that the stratagems have modifiers that are implemented to the missions using AI. They don't actually go through a veto process as to what stratagems could apply or what stratagems can't be mixed with each other. An AI picks the stratagems that are going to be implemented into a mission, and then the mission rolls out to the players every day with the daily stratagems and weekly with the weekly stratagems. So an AI makes the decision to pick and choose what kind of stratagems are to be included within the game. Now, why is this a problem? So, example number one, we're going to go back to exfiltration and the modifier that has equipment malfunction, in which you cannot use the equipment. So, as you guys already know, exfiltration is one of those missions that in order to progress, you have to use melt-a-bombs, because you have to seal the Tyranid tunnels using the melt-a-bombs. Whether it's in that one specific area towards the beginning of the mission, you can't get past that specific spot if you do not use melt-a-charges. So I made a video completely ranting about that. I'll go ahead and link that in the description down below, and I'll also put it up on the screen so you guys can go watch that first if you're interested. But I begged the question as to whether or not the AI is the one in charge of implementing these stratagems, and that video really made it obvious. It's more than obvious that an AI implemented that specific modifier into that mission, because any developer with any kind of brains, and I called them out for this, how did nobody realize that this modifier would completely break this map? How did nobody think of that? Those are the questions that we as a community need to be asking. Those are the questions that make me as a content creator really disappointed in Saber Interactive, because anybody who knows or watches Behind the Grind knows that we can be very cynical and very critical at times. Shit, a lot of my content can be really negative towards the developers for Space Marine 2, and I try my best to not be that way all the time, right? So I tend to balance it with negative videos and positive videos from time to time, but as the days and the weeks and the months go by, these developers don't make it easy for people like me. I want to praise them and tell them that they did a good job with things like individual modifiers, but this oversight as to not allowing this specific modifier to appear on this mission is one of those things that just makes me lose complete faith in them, man. This is something that they should have picked up on, and it blows my mind that nobody really thought of it, and it was allowed to push onto the individual games of players all around the world to have that specific modifier be on that specific operation. So not only was that operation completely broken and a complete waste of time for those who played it, but we also have the daily stratagem that was updated a few hours ago, and this is the daily hard for termination. Now, we're going to go ahead and dissect why this operation is kind of bullshit in my opinion. So the battlefield conditions, to start off, we have great responsibility. So great responsibility on its own is quite the interesting modifier because, quote, A randomly chosen player will have 100% more health, but all damage taken by the team redirects to them. If they die, the mission fails. So not only is that kind of a bullshit perk in my opinion, a bullshit modifier, because having a mission that includes great responsibility is going to incentivize players to play the game by themselves. And I don't think that's the best thing to do when you are a co-op PvE game that really incentivizes on teamwork and playing with your buddies to go through the missions and actually beat them. Great responsibility completely takes that out of the picture because it's incentivizing players to just play by themselves. And with great responsibility in mind, the modifier armor malfunction is also added onto there. What armor malfunction does is, quote, dodge rolls cause you to take a small amount of damage. So on its own, it's not that bad of a modifier, but remember, because we do have great responsibility, that the randomly chosen player that has 100% more health also takes all of the damage that the team takes. So every time your buddy rolls or both players are rolling and dodging attacks, all that damage is centered on the one player who has the 100% more health because all of the damage is being dealt to them. So, excuse me, but what is this? Saber, what are we doing with this? I feel like instead of just completely turning on the mic and just giving a rant, this really disappoints me to see something like this. It really makes me beg the question, what are you guys doing with this game, man? Are you guys intentionally trying to ruin Stratagems? Because I don't know anybody who actually wants to play this stratagem. Sure, I went on Reddit and I was scrolling through some of the Reddit posts, and most of them that I saw that had termination completed were either players who, A, did it by themselves, or B, players who did it with a really small dedicated team of players that they knew, and they were somehow able to achieve this without completely going ballistic. I wonder how many tries it took them to actually do that, because I made a guide as to how to play Stratagems back when the mode first released, and I did say that going into Stratagems and trying to find randoms, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. It's not necessarily the best course of action that you could do, and the best thing that you could do is go in with a team that kind of knows what they're doing for the most part. But even when I see a daily stratagem like this termination one that doesn't allow players to dodge roll and that every single damage taken by every single player is dealt onto the one person, even I don't see a dedicated team really having fun with that. I feel like this is one of those stratagems that players for the most part are playing through and trying to beat just to kind of brag that they actually beat it. Because who would subject themselves to this kind of torture for 15 accolades? As you guys already know, the reward is for the daily hard stratagems. I certainly know that 15 accolades isn't worth the trouble that I would go through in order to beat this specific stratagem. And with the next modifiers, we go to deep pockets, which ammo reserve is doubled. That's not a bad modifier. But at the bottom, once again, we have a really bad modifier, point blank, in which range damage at less than 10 meters is increased by 70%. So the damage that you deal and also damage that is dealt to you. So it's very clear that nobody actually play tested to this stratagem because there's no reason to. These stratagems aren't handcrafted. The modifiers are handcrafted. They didn't use AI to make those, but they do certainly use AI to roll out these daily and weekly stratagems, and it just makes the game unfun. Ask yourself, why would you play something like this and where you can't dodge even when you get the attacks that you can't parry, and one player takes all of the damage that everybody takes? How is this fun for anybody? Not even fun. How is this fair to anybody? It's definitely not fair to me, and it's a big disappointment to see something like this. I saw a meme on the internet earlier today as well that really started mocking the Space Marine 2 developers and the way they're implementing these stupid stratagems. And as you guys can see it on screen, it has great responsibility summarized with, well, just play solo. Because why would you play great responsibility with a team of friends when all of the damage that they take is ultimately dealt to you? Next up is equipment malfunction. Once again, mocking it. Hope the mission isn't exfiltration because, like I already mentioned before, obviously they didn't flag exfiltration to not allow this modifier to appear on that map because of what happened a couple of weeks ago. And then we have armor malfunction, which dodge rolls cause you to take a small amount of damage, summarized by playable but really unfun. And, you know, for a game like Dodge Marine 2, half the time all you're doing is dodging because you can't parry all the attacks. And what are you supposed to do when you can't parry an attack? You either dodge or you take damage. And then at the bottom, we have probably the worst modifier, suboptimal state, in which maximum health is reduced by 66%. It has already been nerfed because it used to be 75%. Now, a while ago, there was a stratagem that had suboptimal state as a modifier, but it also had the modifier that restricts players to only one armor segment and does not allow for armor boost. So, once again, it brings me to question myself, like, why are we even playing this? This is a game in which damage is going to be taken because you have a lot of enemies that deal chip damage. Whether it's Tyranid warriors with devourers just constantly raining hell on you, or it's termagants just lining up in a row just firing at you at all times, or it's the Terminators with the Soul Reapers for chaos, you're constantly taking chip damage, whether it's from afar or from close range. And when you only have one armor segment and your health is reduced by 66%, you're basically getting shot down in like 2 shots. You're basically one shot, and there's nothing you can really do because, once again, when stacked with things like armor malfunction where you take damage every time you try to roll, it just makes for a really miserable experience. And so, ultimately, what I want to end this video off with is that at the end of the day, I'm not even angry at Space Marine 2 or Saber Interactive anymore. I'm just disappointed. I was angry when I made the video mocking the Space Marine 2 game developers for not knowing how to playtest their own game, in which the game director himself, Dmitry Grigorenko, sorry if I messed that up, stated that we can't simply buff melee contested health recovery, as that would make the game too easy, and absolute difficulty is already not particularly punishing when discussing the contested health rework poll. So it was with that post that I was angry with Space Marine 2, but seeing the way that Stratagems has been implemented into the game and just seeing all the BS, I'm not even angry anymore. I'm just disappointed. And so go ahead and let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think of the current state of Space Marine 2 with these stratagems. I really do like these stratagems, but it would be a lot nicer if one of the developers actually put some thought into what stratagems appear on a single operation, like what kind of modifiers kind of stack best with others, what don't necessarily work with others, and actually put some thought into the way that they're implemented into the game, instead of using an AI that just doesn't know what it's doing. It makes the worst situation possible for us as players, because a lot of these stratagems on their own are really fun, but when stacked with each other, it's not fun. And ultimately, at the end of the day, what good is a game if it's not fun? You guys already know me. My favorite game of all time is Dark Souls. Dark Souls is a hard game, but if you know how to master the game and you know what you're doing, it's not a hard game. It's a fun game. And so what I want to end this off with is, developers, put some thought into what you're doing. We like your game. We enjoy playing your game, but we, the players, do not enjoy some of these stratagems that you guys have in this game. Me personally, I don't even play some of these half the time. I just play the weekly ones because we have bullshit stratagems like this termination one, or the one where we couldn't even progress past this specific point in exfiltration. So, at the end of the day, what are your guys' thoughts on the current state of Space Marine 2 and stratagems? If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribe if you are not already. Also, if you wish to support the channel further, I'd encourage you to join the channel membership for exclusive perks. It's $1 a month, and if you are interested, go ahead and click the pinned comment down below in the comment section. I will have a link leading to how to join the channel membership, and your generosity is extremely appreciated for those who are already members, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a channel member for Behind the Grind, or for being a viewer, liking the video, and subscribing. It means the world to me, man. We're coming up to the 1-year anniversary of Behind the Grind tomorrow at the time of posting this video, and we're going to have quite the special video, so I really hope that you guys like it. But this has been Behind the Grind. expressing my discontent with these stratagems in Space Marine 2. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace!